we've all talked or heard about buying land that's been subdivided, and that seems pretty safe, correct? You drive out to a property and you see all them pretty little flags out or little stakes. They're telling you how wide the road is going to be and how wonderful this is all going to be, and the developer is going to take care of everything. And we almost got involved in a situation like that over in Leyte, and like I said last time, thank God for my wife's aunt bringing it to our attention that this was probably never ever going to happen. And now we can hear Rick's story. Go for it, brother.
I'm going to change the background, dude. Look at that. Do you see
Oh,
that?
yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's a miracle of technology. I'm actually an AI. I'm an AI entity, I think. So, yeah. So the story you and I discussed, and of course, as you know, Roy,
I'm
I've
getting a
had
lot
lots
of
of.
wind noise from the breeze off the ocean. Can you speak
Well, just
louder?
deal with, and yeah, it's going in my ear too. So, but we're going to be okay with that. So,
Okay.
I really feel this is what it looks like out on my pool deck. So, yeah,
There you go.
the story you wanted me to relay, and I'm happy to do, is just one of many experiences that we had when Jen and I were looking, had finally gotten to the place where we decided we were going to build us a home and look for some land, and we started that process in the Balanga City, Bataan region, because we were living there at the time, and that's where we began. And we liked this beautiful place, and we began looking at things in town, things just outside of town, things up on the mountain. Actually, I wanted to be up on the mountain because
Mhm.
that's just me. And even a ways out. So one of the ones we looked at was a development. Um, You'll find that there's a lot of people here that call themselves realtors, but they're really not, because there is really no such thing that I'm aware of here in the Philippines as far as a licensed real estate agent. These are people that are just wanting to, get a little commission, and so they'll go out with you and look at property, and if you end up buying it, they get a little small percentage for their help.
Sure.
And we ended up looking at one of these. I guess probably found it on Marketplace. I don't remember exactly where, because it was not on a major highway that we would have just seen it. So we went to the property. They had the nice old colored flags out, and we walked. It was a straight up a hill, but when we got up to the top of the hill, it was just an incredible view, which that's a hook for Rick Baker. If I got something pretty to look at, I'm and got a cup of coffee, I'm pretty happy. Um, so we really we found out this one piece of property that I did really had the view that I wanted, um, was not sold yet. So we met at the developer's office in his home. It was a home. Turns out they were renting in Balonga City, and we came there to kind of negotiate. And I started asking some questions, and I didn't get the best feeling with the responses. There was some hesitation. There was, I'm not sure about that. There was, oh well, it's coming, things like that, which made me a little nervous. And
Sure.
so we didn't. I kind of settled on a price,
Mhm.
but I didn't sign anything, and I didn't push forward with putting anything down. I told the young man, he's a young man from Baguio. I told him, I said, I need to just do a little more research, and then I'll let you know something tomorrow. And so we left, went home, and then I called my attorney. You need to have an attorney anytime and Roy
Amen.
will verify this. You need to have someone on your side. It just so happens, because of the DMCI condo debacle, um, I have an attorney. Don't really want to have an attorney, but I have an attorney. I called him, and I kind of shared with him what it was we had seen, and he gave me a few more questions to ask that I hadn't thought of at the time. So I did. I contacted the young man and I said, "Hey, I got a few more questions for you." And the first one was, do you have a license to subdivide this property?" And he said, "Oh, well, we're working on it." Okay. You got to have a license to subdivide property in the Philippines. And it is not a quick process. I asked him, I said, "Do you have title to the full property?" Because this was a large piece of property that he was just breaking up into smaller lots with these flags. And they had some marketing things done up, and really nice looking PowerPoints with the where the road was going to go and where the community water was going to be sitting and that type of thing. I said, "You have title to?" "Oh no, I'm making payments on the property that's owned by a nurse in the United States. She's an OFW, and I will have that property paid off January of 2022. At which time I will put the road in, dig the community well. We'll have the entire property surveyed with Mahomes and start the process of subdividing." The problem is subdivision process can be very, very lengthy.
Yes.
And at that point could have been at least a year and a half
Hmm.
before he had legal subdivision. Then, and only then, once it's been legally subdivided, can he then start titling the title process for the individual lot purchasers. So you're looking at a good 2 years down the road,
Hmm.
2.5 maybe, before anyone could really legally build anything with in their name on any of that property. So that being said, it just was as much as I love that lot and the view that it had, I was not going to put a dime of my money into it. And it turned out to be a good decision because a year later, we returned to that area and just decided to go by to see what all was happening there. Because, again, it should have had an access road built already, and the community water, and most likely the Mahone should have already been in place. When we pulled up, the flags were gone. There was no road. There was no water. There was no Mahomes. So what happened was this young man sold every one of those lots to people, and most likely he hooked them. That would be my guess. And my attorney shared with me that this is what they do. They just go from one subdivision to another, and nothing ever really gets subdivided. Nothing ever gets titled, but they sure do have a lot of people's money. And bottom line is, those people are out that money
Sure.
because they
Sure.
didn't do due diligence in
Yep.
ensuring that it was a legitimate development.
Yes.
And they pop up everywhere. Belongas, Baton's full of them. And yeah, super scary because people work hard for their money,
Hmm.
and they're doing this to other Filipinos.
Hmm.
It's not just to foreigners, but they're doing it to other Filipinos too, and it's really sad. But you got to be careful.
Well, I
Yeah.
want to add to this that, getting an attorney involved is one thing, but we had a, a similar situation, except that the seller happened to be an attorney.
Oh
You're very safe, correct? Very,
no, not if
very.
they've got skin in the game.
Well, I at that point, I thought we were pretty safe. This was an attorney in town that happens to live there. He's in a brick building. In fact, his family is very well known. That's all fine and dandy, but it's really hard to sell a subdivision when you got this beautiful map showing all the lots that have never been subdivided, and it's
Marketing material.
and it's CLOA land. Yes.
Yeah, Chloe
And
is a whole
so
nother
yeah, that's
animal.
a whole nother story. And it's like, so if you're going to deal with anyone in the Philippines, and the first thing you do is you get an attorney. If they have an attorney, wonderful. You get your own. And you make sure that your attorney represents you, because you don't know, their attorney, I guarantee you, is representing his client. Number one, here,
Yeah.
he may be a great attorney. He may be an honest man and represent both of you. but knowing what goes on in the Philippines, I'm not going to take that risk, and I don't think you should either.
Yeah, and I guess the one thing I want to say to people, and if you go on our channel and look at the 2 vlogs we've uploaded on these topics, you mentioned it, how long it was. We talk about a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
I think the second one talks about row housing, because I had an experience with that,
Oh yeah. Yeah, you
and
did.
and also the process of starting to look for land. But I think at the end of that second vlog, I want people to, I think I left them with, hey, it's not over. There's a happy ending somewhere down the road, and that third vlog I'll share that happy ending. So I guess what I want to say is, be very careful. If there's money involved, ethics go out the window. The window's closed. They throw them out the window and they close it, and because there's money involved, it's just the way it works here. So you got to be super diligent. You've got to ask lots of questions. You need somebody on your side to double check, to make sure everything's on the up and up. And every municipality, and I wish Jen was here. She told me the name of it. There's an office at every municipality. I want to say it's like the Office of Deeds and Registry or something like that. Every municipality has it, and all the property it's legally titled in that municipality. It's on file. It's kind of an archaic system, but it works for them. And you need to go look. You need to go look at how that property that you're interested in is actually, not how somebody's telling you it's titled.
Right. Right.
Don't take anybody's word for anything. Listen to them, say thank you, but then go check it out and ensure that, and it's going to cost you 300-400 pesos to get a copy of the title, but it's worth the $8-10 to get.
Priceless.
And yeah, and if nothing else, for it to say yes, this can happen. There's one person on the title, it is legally titled. Then you want to check taxes, make sure there's no back taxes, and no lien, because they don't think they call them liens, but they can attach liens to a property here. Those are the 2 things you really need to do. Just make sure that there is a clear title, a clean title. It's not CLOA with 999 names on it that you'll never get approval to purchase, even a
Amen.
fraction sliver of it. Just, I'm sorry, but it ain't gonna happen. But there is land here that can legally be purchased by a Filipina. Foreigners, I'm sorry, your spouse is going to own it. I will say that the title to our property here, Baker's Bungalow, has my name on it. It says it says Jenna Lynn's name, married to Ricky Baker. Doesn't really mean anything, but the land itself, by the laws here in this country, can only belong to a Filipina, and I'm okay with that. I hear.
Or I believe you can, if you have a corporation, you can own land, I believe.
Yeah, and then that's a whole nother.
And that's a whole nother story. But the message here that we've tried to convey is to be so careful to buy land. It can be a nightmare. It can be very stressful. I don't ever suggest buying it over the internet. Be there in person to do your due diligence, like Rick and Jen did, and then you go through the building process, and that's a whole nother story. And if you want to know the building process, you go over to Rick Baker's channel, The Good, the Bad, the Philippines, and you can follow his building process. He documented it all. And of course, there again was a whole bunch more problems that you have to endure. So, the stress level was so high that now he's so happy living in his house, he doesn't even leave his pool area.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy here.
Yeah, because he had literally a couple of years of it was really stressful, and now they have their dream home.
And looking back, I've always been a type of person. I love to learn, and I'm a lifelong learner. I was an educator, and I believe in learning, and I believe the day you stop learning, you might as well just shrivel up and move on. But some things I wish I didn't have to learn the hard way, but I have, and I don't, and I'm not afraid to share that. And I know I get, believe me, I get a lot of grief sometimes on our channel about, well, what are you, stupid or
Well, if I would have talked to you about this land prior to us going to the Philippines, that would have probably eliminated 99% of the properties that were available for us to look at, because I would have had the knowledge that you shared with me to say, this is not right.
yeah, and it really does open your eyes as to how much time you waste. We
Yes.
wasted a lot of time. But I will, another thing I will encourage folks to try to do, and it's hard to do, I know, and it's try to keep your heart out of it. When we get our heart involved with a piece of property, like I said, if there's a view, if I can see a mountain or I can see water, or there's a cool breeze, all of a sudden my heart, I'm not thinking with my head anymore. I'm thinking with my heart. And it's not a good way to do it, because it makes it that much harder when you find out the truth, that's just not something you're not going to be able to legally own this piece of property and put that house that you want to build on it. So
Well, and it's you also you have your Filipina involved. We
yeah,
looked at a property that my wife really, really liked. And she kept saying, honey, we can do this, right? I really like this property. And I said, honey, there isn't clear title. It's a mother title. That's going to take time to clear. We have to trust the title holder. We have to trust that they're going to do the right thing. It's not a subdivision yet. It's going to take us a few years, and I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. And so
yeah,
it was like a
it's
double
risky.
whammy. Yeah, it was a double
Very
whammy.
risky.
I felt bad that the property that we looked at that we really liked wasn't really, it had so many pitfalls. I wasn't confident that it would ever go through. And then I can see the heartbreak on my wife's face. And it's like, it's a tough place. And it's like,
But that's kind of what I'm talking about. And
yeah,
it's like I said, it's easy for me to say, don't get your heart involved, but it's
right.
another thing to actually do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, if you can keep the heart strings from being pulled, find out if it's actually a possibility, a legitimate possibility, then you can fall in love with it,
right,
because that's kind of what we did here. When we found this piece of property and we verified that it was, one person on a title, it was a clear title, clean title. We could actually purchase it, and we did. And within 4 weeks, we had title of the property and we're
right,
able to start building. So when it happened very quick. Everything just kind of fell into place. But up to that point, nothing had fallen into place.
right.
Yeah. So there was a lot of speed bumps to go over along the way, but it did happen. And I just want to encourage people that if it's something you really want, um, it's not going to happen just because you really want it. It'll keep you going until you do find the right
Right.
piece of property. And your advice: don't ever try to do this over the phone or over the
Oh no,
internet. That's
no.
dead on, because let me tell you something. I can take pictures of any piece of property in this area, and I can make those pictures look pretty darn good. And when you actually come to see your home, there's a cock farm right next to it with 2,000 roosters, or maybe a piggery,
Or a
and
karaoke bar.
a buttload of flies, and those are the things you don't think about, but it's important, and you want to be comfortable where you build your home, and so you need to be there, be able to see it, and yeah, and again, one more time, get yourself. And I know in the U.S. attorneys just nobody really wants to do that because they're expensive, but just know that an attorney here is worth their weight. A good attorney is worth their weight in pesos for sure.
Absolutely.
Don't worry
Absolutely.
about the pesos you got to spend, because it's gonna keep your butt out of trouble, and that is worth it. So I encourage you, and not just any attorney's gonna. You need to do your due diligence with your attorneys too. Some of them are not good. Some of them are in somebody else's pocket, or they're not in it for you. They don't have your best interest at heart. So that's another challenge you got finding a good attorney. It's not an
Amen.
easy task. So, but kind of get an idea of where it is you want to be area wise. Find yourself a good attorney that can, that's in that area. Why do I say that? Well, let's say I wanted to buy a piece of property in Manila, and my attorney is in Balanga City. That's really not a good option, because they have to go. A lot of things are done in person here at various government offices, and so every time that attorney travels to Manila, you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for their transportation, their meals, everything, and you pay them for their time, and that can add up very quickly. So find you somebody in the area you want to live in, and find some people that know people in that area that kind of get an idea, because there is, like we talked about before, there's no MLS here. You can't just pull up online and see all the properties for sale. That doesn't exist. Matter of fact, if you pull something online, most of the property you see on it probably isn't for sale. It's probably been on there for 2 years. Those sites are really kind of worthless, in my opinion. It wasn't until we met a young lady in this area that knows people and knows who's wanting to sell their property, who's thinking about selling their property, and has some knowledge of the area. That's really where we made progress.
Amen.
And yeah,
Amen.
I don't know how to tell you to find those people. We just kind of stumbled on.
And there again, folks, you have to be there to be able to do that. And they were there, and they were lucky to meet Jing, and everything kind of worked out for him. So on that, folks, on that note, we're gonna end this YouTube video. But if you want to know anything else about Rick's adventure in real estate, and it's quite an adventure. It's all on his YouTube channel, The Good, the Bad, the Philippines. And if you need to ask questions, Rick is more than happy to answer you. And in fact, that's how Rick and I met each other, by email, and eventually developed our friendship. So,
Roy, take a good look.
Yes, sir.
This is the 59-year-old Ricky Baker.
Yes.
Tomorrow, when you see me.
Oh, happy belated or early birthday. Happy
well,
birthday.
we're really not celebrating it. So really no.
Well,
this
that's
is
a
one
milestone.
of those.
That's
Well, it's okay. It's a milestone. I'm ready just to leap right on over. God, dude, I never thought I'd make it to 60. But can you tell me what I've got ahead of me?
Yeah, it's all downhill, buddy. It's all downhill.
Okay.
All downhill.
All right, I'm ready for it.
So,
bring it on.
like I said, the good, the bad, the ugly, the Philippines. Actually, it's the good, the bad, the Philippines, but it should be sometimes the good, the bad, the ugly, the Philippines.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's got it all up there. If you're considering building a home, he's got a whole repertoire of videos there on their home building process. And Rick is a great guy. And so said tomorrow he turns into a citizen, so to speak. And hopefully when you come back in midwinter, we can get together in the cold country. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm going to ride my snowmobile right on up to Wisconsin.
There you go. All right, buddy.
All right, brother.
People, if you like our videos, hit the like button and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, hey, send us a message. We'd like to know who you are.
Absolutely.
And do the same for my buddy Rick there.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.